Hello everyone. I recently went to visit the Buchenwald concentration camp close to Weimar, which was built by the Nazi regime just before the beginning of World War II. While visiting the camp, I could witness the horrors to which the Nazi ideology led during the first half of the 20th century. If we want to avoid something like that happening again, it is extremely important to try to understand what led the Nazis to do what they did. In my view, a must-read on the topic is the book The Meaning of Hitler by Sebastian Haffner. In this work, Haffner makes clear that the most important influence on the Nazi ideology was social Darwinism. Social Darwinism is the ideology of those who regard human beings as being nothing more than the product of Darwinian evolution, and who think that all aspects of our society can be explained in terms of natural selection and survival of the fittest. Hitler was an utterly convinced social Darwinist. This can be seen throughout his book Mein Kampf, which contains passages such as the following: "If nature does not wish that weaker individuals should mate with the stronger, she wishes even less that a superior race should intermingle with an inferior one, because in such a case all her efforts throughout hundreds of thousands of years to establish an evolutionary higher stage of being may thus be rendered futile." In Hitler's view, humans are nothing more than the product of evolution, and just like other animals have evolved in different ways, depending on the environment and the conditions in which they live, so have humans evolved in different ways, giving rise to different races. Crucial to Hitler's thought is that not all races are equal. Some have achieved an evolutionary higher stage. They have gone further in the evolutionary process and are therefore superior to other races. For him, one of the biggest problems humans face is the fact that we have artificially stopped natural selection, and hence the evolutionary process which brings us to higher stages of being. We take care of chronically ill people, people with severe disabilities, elderly people who cannot work. This is why he decided to push his eugenic programs, by which he tried to make sure only the good genes, hence the name eugenics, remain, sending ill-fit or undesirable people to concentration camps and enforcing euthanasia. The other way in which Hitler thought that evolution could be helped is by war. When two races fight against each other, the stronger prevail and the weak are removed, leaving more living space or Lebensraum for the strong race to reproduce and expand. Sebastian Haffner shows in his book how Hitler was obsessed by war from the very beginning of his political career, and he did all he could to turn Germany into a war machine. He was convinced that the Aryan people, being the superior race, would succeed in conquering their neighbors and acquiring the Lebensraum they needed to prosper. I don't want to go any further in this analysis because Sebastian Haffner does it already in his book much better than whatever I could attempt. If you want to learn more, don't hesitate to read it. The reason why I'm telling all this is because I think that we are nowadays playing a very dangerous game. On the one hand, a large number of intellectuals are preaching that human beings are nothing more than the product of evolution, and are getting a lot of praise for doing so. But on the other hand, we pretend that this worldview is morally neutral, or even superior to the religious worldviews which give human beings a special status as being made in the image and likeness of God. Some may even go so far as to claim that religion is the main source of conflicts and war, and that a materialistic worldview will surely lead to rational and peaceful societies. To people who think like this, I've got bad news. The amount of evil that one can justify with a materialistic worldview goes beyond the wildest of imaginations. And there are millions of corpses to prove this. We have already done the experiment, not only in Nazi Germany. The historical materialism present in the communist philosophy led to the gulags in Siberia, the killing fields in Cambodia, and the Cultural Revolution in China. Some intellectuals try to avoid the negative possible consequences of the materialistic worldview by arguing in favor of animal rights. It is perhaps not bad to think that we are merely animals if we can also agree that all animals should be treated well. This is to me a desperate attempt to avoid the inevitable. And while the awareness for animal suffering in the West is at one of its historical highest and religious practice at its lowest, the rise of extremist parties on both the right and the left continues to advance. But please, don't get me wrong. I am not claiming that a religious education is the solution to all our problems, or that religious people cannot commit atrocities. I am just saying that if you teach people that we are merely animals, you should not be surprised when we start treating each other as animals. So, for all of those who casually preach materialism, downplaying the possible consequences of such a worldview, be aware that you are playing with fire. And if you think that promoting respect for animal rights will save us from the abyss to which materialism can lead, well, good luck with that. But don't count on me putting a single cent on your bet.